I have been gluten-free for almost 2 years now, solid. I started about 20 years ago experimenting with the whole thing. I found out that that's exactly what I need to be, and so went into it kicking and screaming. But 2 years now, it's been about 2 years, I have been completely gluten-free, and I have tried every product that has come down the road, anything I can find or I've heard about pretty much, and these are my favorites. So hopefully you can find some of these things in your grocery or supermarket, and mostly this will be for USA, I'm sure. I'm not sure how much of this stuff translates to different areas. So anyway, let's get started, and I will show you quickly what my favorites of the favorites are. And I'm sure I'm missing some things I'm not thinking of, but let's get started. Okay, first of all, for soup. You wouldn't think gluten when you think soup. Mostly you just think, you know, like sandwiches and things, but soup has gluten in it almost all the time. Wolfgang Puck and Amy's brand, I don't have a can of Amy's in front of me right now, but Wolfgang Puck has great soup. This one even has like wild rice and chicken and so forth. It is gluten-free. They also have, I know that Amy's does, a mushroom bisque soup that can be substituted in place of the Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, which many times we have recipes that calls for that for casseroles and whatnot. So if you need to use a Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, it has gluten in it. Use the Amy's mushroom bisque, I believe. They have bigger chunks of mushroom in it, but very, very good substitute. So Wolfgang Puck especially, Amy's is another one for soups without gluten. I really have been liking those. Let's discuss bread. Bread is the worst thing ever to try to find that's decent gluten-free. It can be nearly impossible, and I realize why. The reasoning is because the gluten is what makes a piece of, you know, a warm, crusty piece of bread. You pull it apart and those air bubbles and it stretches. What does that is gluten, and if you don't have gluten in the product, it's not going to do that. So most gluten-free bread ends up being more of a cake-like texture. It just crumbles and falls apart. It's definitely more dense, I guess. So it's very, very hard to find a sandwich type of a bread, or, you know, something to put together a sandwich. This is the U.S.A. brand. I guess of all of the ones I've tried, this is my favorite, although I still cannot eat a sandwich with it. I have to usually toast it or use it like in a panini maker to smash it down and, you know, just make it a little bit more palatable. But of all the ones I've tried, U.S.A. seems to be the best. So speaking of this, what I also used to try to do is to take these slices of gluten-free bread. I would toast them up in the oven all toasty. I'd cut them in squares. I would drizzle olive oil and some sea salt and whatnot to try to make breadcrumbs. So if anything, you know, any recipe that you have requires breadcrumbs, or any kind of, you want to put a breading on them, you know, pork tenderloin, whatever you need a breading, what are you gonna do? So I have done that, and it does work. It's very labor intensive and kind of a pain, and it does work. But if whatever recipe you're using can stand some seasonings in your breadcrumbs, I highly recommend this. New York Texas Toast gluten-free croutons. Not only are they great croutons, they're a little crunchier and drier than your average crouton, but they are still very good. But they are already seasoned with herbs, and you just pulverize them in your food processor. Use these as a breading. One package pretty much does a good breading for four chicken breasts, so try to figure the sizing that way. They are excellent. I've added other flavorings to these breadcrumbs, and it's worked every time, and my family has absolutely loved this whole idea with, you know, when you bread something with these croutons. Pulverized up in a food processor. So highly recommend this as a way to go about doing breadcrumbs from here on in. U.S.A. Let's talk U.S.A. again. There are some U.S.A. products I don't really care for, but these are my favorites. When my family does make your own pizza night, which we do every once in a while when nobody really wants to cook, that would be me, and it's an easy way that everyone can throw together something that they want. We call it make your own pizza night. And for them, for my others, I use a boboli crust. We just get the boboli crust, and they put sauce and pepperoni or veggies and spinach or whatever they want to put on it. They can make their own and put it in the oven, and that's what they get. For me, U.S.A.'s gluten-free thin and crispy pizza crusts are what work the best. They come in a pack of 2, and it's like this resealable bag. It's a very, right now it's stopped being frozen, but you can put it right in the oven frozen. They stay in the freezer, but it's almost like a not quite a cracker, but it's definitely thinner than your average pizza crust. But these are, to me, the very best. I've made them by hand with gluten-free dough and all that kind of thing. And those are good also, but it's really, you can't roll out gluten-free dough for pizza really. It's more goopy, so it just doesn't work. These, excellent. I can find these in many different grocery stores. Easy to just throw in the toaster oven if you want to make your own little pizza with leftovers in the refrigerator. I've been doing that a lot lately. I'll take leftovers, slice them up, add some sort of a something to it, to make some sort of a sauce, and instant lunch. So I highly recommend those also. Crackers. Crackers are very hard to find gluten-free that taste like anything but dry rice. These I really enjoy. They're Van's Simply Delicious brand, and my favorite are the fire roasted veggie ones. They come stuck full of all sorts of 16 grams of whole grains, and they're baked with brown rice, oats, millet, quinoa, and amaranth, and I like them to use with hummus or any other kind of cheese type things. If you're doing cheese and crackers, this is what I use. They have many different other flavors like I mentioned, and they are pretty darn good for a cracker, better than many of the other like rice crackers and things I've tried before that I just didn't care for. At my Fresh Market, there are cookies that they have in their brand, the Fresh Market brand. They're irresistibly good is what they call them. Caramel sea salt, I really like these, and the coconut macadamia. I don't allow myself to get these very often, but when I do, these are really good. Glutino also have a cookie that we really have liked. Now we're having a hard time finding it. It's the chocolate chip cookie by Glutino, and my Target used to have them and they don't anymore. Yeah, it was my daughter's favorite cookie for a long time there, and now we can't get them, so always the way, isn't it? One thing also that has been very hard for me to find lately, but I fell in love with, and it's the Skinny Girl dark chocolate pretzel. They're like, I want to say nutrition bars, whatever bars, you know. They're dark chocolate and pretzel, but gluten-free pretzel, which is hard to find. Really good. They contain soy milk, tree nuts, almonds and walnuts, and peanuts, and that's it, basically. Yeah, that's it. They're yummy. Oh, there are other ingredients. Brown rice syrup, things like that. But basically very, very yummy, very good. You feel like you had quite a decent snack or meal. I've had these like with a cup of coffee for breakfast. 160 calories per bar, 6 grams of protein and 5 grams of fiber. Skinny Girl also make different flavors of these too. There's some lemon bars and some peanut butter ones, I think, but these are my favorite. The the chocolate pretzel, dark chocolate pretzel ones. Really, really good. I just need to try to find some because my Target doesn't carry them anymore. I think Walmart does, so I'm going to check there. Now, for my favorites, pasta and flour to make other things with. First, let's start with pasta. At your local grocery store, you're more likely to find this brand than anything else. And these are actually very, very good. It's the Barilla brand. There's a little tiny section off to the corner wherever you see the Barilla pasta, and they do have a few shapes, which is really, really nice too. So you've got your rotini, you have your elbow, and you have your penne. They also have spaghetti, which that's very, very nice. The spaghetti tends to fall into pieces. It doesn't really stay one long strand very well, but these work beautifully, and they taste the most near gluten-free regular pasta that than any other gluten-free pasta I've ever tried. Highly recommend those. So now this is a game changer for me. I finally discovered a flour that works really well for me to transfer from regular flour into gluten-free flour without having to change all the different dimensions of the recipe and all the different measurements of the recipe. This works beautifully. If your recipe from 200 years ago, your grandmother's Christmas cookies, calls for a cup of flour, you use a cup of this. So it's just the same cup for cup. Whatever that recipe calls for, you use this. And it turns out beautifully. This Christmas was the first time that I really truly tried to make my Christmas cookies. I do 3 pretty much that we mostly are fans of in my family. Tried them even with my grandmother's. It's my grandmother's recipe passed down from Germany somewhere. They're peppernuts or Pfeffernusse, and I thought I would try them gluten-free this year. Loved them. They were good. It worked beautifully. So I've done my Christmas cookies with these, and it worked out great. And if you want to do a cake, whatever, just this, if you want to use flour to make a gravy, use this, it works. So I highly recommend this. Now, where do you get this? That's a good question. Freedomdelivered.com. They are where I found this. It's just go to freedomdelivered.com. They have specials all the time, especially around the Christmas time. You can get a lot of this. You know, I usually get about 5-pound bags at Christmas time. It lasts me a long time, and they have specials about it. And I know that they have some sort of a program, look deep into it, where, you don't have to look too deep, it's right there. But it says, you know, on their webpage, it says if you've never tried them before, they will give you a discount to give it a try. So make sure you check on that. It's just Freedom Delivered. They know nothing about me. It's not like, you know, I'm sponsored in any way or anything. They have no clue who I am. But I love them, and I just got my next pack of 5 of these, and they work really well. Now, the only thing I cannot really get to work with any gluten-free flour is any type of a bread product. You know, like I can't do my cinnamon rolls. I make cinnamon rolls every Christmas morning, and you know, well, for the morning, I make them the day before, and no, this doesn't work. Again, the gluten is what gives it the bread, that stretchiness and the air bubbles with the yeast and all, and it just does not work gluten-free. So, but it works perfectly in like cornbread. If you're putting flour in cornbread, which the recipes call for, perfect with gluten-free. Tastes the same, it's absolutely perfect. Banana breads, things like that, perfect. Wonderful banana bread with this. So anyway, highly recommend this, Freedom Delivered. It's called Baking Free, gluten-free flour, and it comes in 5-pound bags. Love it. And then this company also has different box mixes for brownies, I believe, cornbread, and so forth. But like I say, use your regular brownie recipe and use this instead of regular flour, and you are golden. It all works out great, and you don't have to buy the mixes or the kits. And this company also has fettuccine that they sell. And this is the only fettuccine I've found that's gluten-free. So if I really want that ribbony kind of a pasta, this is the one I use. I don't buy this very often because I just use the other pastas, but it's very good. It says it's Italy's top selling 100% corn pasta, so whatever that means. And yeah, it is made in Italy. So very good. They have different shapes too also. So this also comes from Freedom Delivered. So I hope that helps you. If you know of any gluten-free sandwich bread type of breads that really do a good job as, you know, just complete like a sandwich, let me know. I would love to hear all about it. And thank you so much for joining me, and good luck with you in your gluten-free quest if you are working on that. And I will see you guys real soon. Thanks. Bye.